No one in the quiet neighborhood of Ashford Lane knew that a single phone call would change a young girl's life forever. But it happened on a chilly October afternoon, when a millionaire halfway across the state dialed the wrong number, and the daughter of a black maid picked up with a voice that would stop him cold. What came afterward would expose secrets, break barriers, and test the courage of a girl who had spent her whole life feeling invisible. Tessa Hawkins was only 16, but her mind worked like a lightning storm, sharp, fast, and impossible to ignore. Her mother, Lorraine, worked as a live-in maid for the Whitmore family, a wealthy couple who owned a sprawling home on the outskirts of New Haven, Vermont. While Lorraine scrubbed marble floors and polished silver trays, Tessa spent her evenings buried in books she borrowed from the public library, quantum physics, neurology, anything that explained how the world worked beneath its surface. Most days, Tessa kept to herself. The Whitmore's children ignored her, their friends whispered about her clothes, and even the neighbors saw her as the maid's daughter who didn't belong. But Tessa didn't care. She had dreams bigger than the mansion she lived behind. She wanted to go to the Massachusetts Center for Innovation, a school known for taking in brilliant students from across the country. But the tuition was more than her mother made in 5 years. Still, Tessa believed that life had a way of opening doors, if she worked hard enough to find the hinges. That afternoon, Lorraine had been called away on an emergency shift, asking Tessa to answer the Whitmore's landline if it rang, just in case a delivery arrived or Mrs. Whitmore needed to give instructions. So when the phone rang sharply around 3:40 p.m., Tessa rushed to the kitchen and picked it up. "Whitmore residence," she said cautiously. A man's deep voice responded, clipped with a Dutch accent. "Ah, yes. I was hoping to speak with Mr. Whitmore. His is Peter Van Ryn." Tessa didn't recognize the name, but his tone hinted that he was someone important. "I'm sorry," she replied. "He's not available at the moment. But if you'd like, I can take a message." There was a pause on the line, too long, like he was suddenly curious. "Who am I speaking with?" "Tessa," she answered. I help around the house sometimes." Another pause. "Well, Tessa," he said, "perhaps you can assist me. I've been trying to verify a miscalculation on the Whitmore proposal. It involves exponential decay and inventory optimization. Would you mind checking something for me? It's a simple equation." Tessa blinked. "Mathematics? From a stranger?" She reached for the notepad on the counter. "Sure. What do you need?" The man gave her a string of numbers. Long numbers. Complicated ones. Ones that made most adults' heads spin. Tessa scribbled them down, her mind clicking instantly into place. She whispered the formula under her breath as she worked, hands moving quickly. "It's 72.6, she announced. Silence. Then, "Are you certain?" Tessa recalculated, this time faster. "Yes. The model drops at 72.6 units. If they ship more, the loss margin doubles." The man exhaled in visible surprise. "That is, correct. Very correct." Tessa felt her face warm. "I like numbers." "That was not liking numbers," he replied. "That was solving a problem my analysts took hours to untangle." She didn't know how to respond. She was used to being overlooked, underestimated, brushed aside. Praise, especially from a stranger with a voice that sounded like it came from a world she had never stepped into, felt unreal. "I'm just good at math," she mumbled. "Tessa," he said slowly, "I must ask, how old are you?" 16. 16, he repeated, almost to himself. Remarkable. Before she could reply, a door slammed from upstairs, Mrs. Whitmore returning. Tessa straightened, her heartbeat jumping. "I have to go," she whispered. "But I can take a message if you want." "No message," he said quickly. Then, after a beat, "But I will call again. Please make sure you answer." She hung up just as Mrs. Whitmore walked into the kitchen with her usual cold stare. Tessa pretended to be wiping the counter, her heart still thudding in her chest. That night, while her mother returned exhausted from work, Tessa replayed the call repeatedly in her mind. She didn't know who the man was or why he seemed so shocked by her abilities. She didn't even know why he wanted her to answer again. But deep inside, beneath the quiet life she had grown used to, something stirred. Hope. A small spark. A whisper of something greater. The next day arrived with rain tapping against the windows. Tessa was studying in the back room when she heard the landline ring again, twice, 3 times, urgently. She hesitated. Then she ran for it. Whitmore residence. Tessa, the Dutch voice said immediately, as though he had been waiting just for her. Good. You are there. I have a question for you. Her breath caught. About numbers? No, he said. About you. Those words froze her in place. Because in that moment, her life was about to change, and she didn't even know why. Tessa, the man repeated, his voice calm but carrying a weight that made her pulse quicken. I hope my call is not inconvenient. No, it's fine, she said, though truthfully her hands were trembling. What did you want to ask? I want to know where you learned mathematics the way you do, he said. Your mind works in patterns most adults fail to understand. Tessa looked down at her sneakers. I just study on my own. Library books. Online videos when the Wi-Fi doesn't cut out. No formal tutor. No private lessons. She almost laughed. We can't afford that. There was a soft inhale on the other end, as though he understood more than she had shared. Tessa, he said, I am Peter Van Rijn. I oversee one of the largest logistics companies in the region. And yesterday, when you solved that equation, you revealed something rare and valuable. Her chest tightened. I didn't mean to cause trouble. You have done the opposite, he replied. You impressed me. And children like you, they should not be hidden behind someone else's kitchen door. Her throat tightened at the words. Children like you. What did that mean to a man like him? Someone rich, foreign, powerful. Before she could answer, he continued softly, I want to meet you. Her breath hitched. Meet me? Yes. With your mother present, of course. I want to understand your abilities, your goals. Your future. Future. A word that felt too big for her small life. I'll talk to my mom, she whispered. Good, he said warmly. I will call back this evening. Please answer. He hung up. Tessa stood frozen for several seconds, staring at the dead receiver. Her mind spun in 1,000 directions, fear, hope, disbelief, excitement. She felt like she had stepped through a doorway she didn't even know existed. Later that night, after Lorraine returned home and changed out of her uniform, Tessa sat beside her on the narrow twin bed they shared. Mom, someone called for me again. Lorraine raised an eyebrow. For you? Who? A businessman. His name's Peter Van Rijn. He wants to meet us. He says I'm good at math. Her mother's face softened. Baby, you're not just good. You're special. But what if he thinks I'm lying? What if I embarrass you? What if? Tessa. Her mother's hand cupped her cheek. People like us don't get chances like this. If someone is coming to meet you because he sees your gift, then we listen. That evening, the phone rang once more. Tessa answered. Arrangements were made for Peter to visit the following morning. She barely slept that night. By the next day, Tessa sat stiffly at the kitchen table while her mother waited beside her. Rain streaked down the windows again, painting the house in a dim gray glow. A sleek black car pulled into the driveway. A tall man with silver hair stepped out, sharply dressed, carrying an umbrella. Though his presence was commanding, his eyes were gentle when he walked in and greeted them. "You must be Tessa," he said. She swallowed and nodded. "Yes, sir." He smiled. "May I see some of your work?" She blinked. No one had ever asked that before. Tessa hurried back to her room and returned with a small folder, pages filled with formulas, handwritten notes, diagrams she'd drawn late at night when the world was quiet. Peter read them slowly. Carefully. His brows lifted. His eyes widened. At one point, he murmured something to himself in Dutch. Finally he looked up. "You understand concepts universities struggle to teach." Her stomach fluttered. "I just like figuring out how things fit together." "It is more than that," he said gently. "It is brilliance." Lorraine pressed a hand to her chest. What does this mean?" Peter set the papers down and folded his hands. "It means I'd like to offer Tessa a scholarship. Full tuition. Full support. A pathway into our Innovation Academy. From there, a guaranteed internship with my company." Lorraine gasped softly. Tessa froze completely. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you do that for me?" "Because talent should never be wasted," he said. "And because the world needs minds like yours. You answered a call meant for someone else, but maybe fate meant it for you." Tears gathered in her eyes. "But, we don't have money. Transportation. Housing. Clothes. Everything will be handled," he assured. "Your job is to learn, grow, and become the woman your mind is pushing you to be." Lorraine grabbed her daughter's hand and squeezed. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Tessa, baby, say yes." The words came out in a whisper. "Yes." Peter smiled, stood, and extended his hand to her. "In that case," he said warmly, "welcome to your future." In that moment, the world felt bigger than anything Tessa had ever dreamed. She wasn't just the maid's daughter anymore. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't limited by the walls of the Whitmore's house or the whispers of the kids who mocked her. She was stepping into a life she had built on her own, one number, one equation, one unexpected phone call at a time. Years later, people would say that brilliance can come from anywhere. That genius can rise from the quietest corners. That a call dialed by accident can uncover a destiny no one saw coming. But Tessa knew the truth. Her future didn't start with money, or privilege, or knowing the right people. It started the moment she believed she deserved more. And answered the phone.